How can we make the serve spin more? Let's start with how to serve heavy backspin. Then we'll talk about side spin. Many players, you see, their hand isn't relaxed enough before serving. It's slightly tense. Where exactly is it tight? When serving left side spin or underspin. This is how we hold the racket. Take a close look. This is the front view. This is the side view. This is the back. This is the base of my thumb. So when we bring the racket back, at this key moment, we must open the hand. Why doesn't your underspin serve spin? Because your racket head isn't rotating. That won't work. When serving, it should look like this. With an open brushing motion. Brush with an open motion. We need to make the racket head rotate. That rotation helps the racket grab the ball. It increases friction and spin. So the racket head must rotate freely. Many players grip too tightly. If your wrist angle is like this, your arm blocks your wrist's rotation space. Whether it's backspin or side spin, for underspin or side spin hook serves, the hook motion is from below. Side spin is from above. And top spin also has the racket head above. Some people say when I hold it like this, the wrist movement looks blocked. It's always in the way. Look at your wrist rotation. Don't rotate like this. Rotate like this instead. This way, the wrist has much more space to move. When you serve, do it like this. Hook inward. Instead of being tight and moving only the handle up and down, your arm will block it. That affects your wrist flexibility. The racket head must rotate. Second point. When serving underspin, contact the lower part of the ball, not the upper. But have you ever noticed that? At the moment of contact, did you hit the lower half? Yes, most players know the principle, but they're not sure if they actually hit the lower half. When we were kids, the first thing coaches told us was, keep your eyes on the ball. Then your brushing will be much better. If not, the brush will be weak. You'll contact too high. So watch the ball carefully. If you contact the upper half of the ball, your serve won't spin. You can actually see it if you watch closely. So when you strike, imagine this. How can you find the lower part of the ball? When you toss it up, open your wrist, and keep it open through contact. Only then can you rotate your wrist at the moment of impact. If your wrist angle is like this, you'll almost always hit the top half of the ball. Maybe we're turning the wrist too early. For example, when we swing, if the wrist isn't open, the racket head position is unclear, and it turns into a push. But if we open the wrist and aim for the ball's lower half, we can brush upward from below the ball. That's how you create strong spin. These techniques are closely related to that. Because the brushing motion is very brief, it must be used at the critical moment. Actually, many players at the moment of contact still have this issue. When contacting the ball, even though you extend your arm as you swing forward, at the moment of contact, your racket angle might look like this. But when I contact the ball, my racket angle looks like this. After contacting the ball, I fully rotate my racket head. This way, the speed increases. You can try this out. Third point. You must clearly understand this. Are you using a full body motion or just forearm and wrist? Think back to your own serve. Whether it's left side spin, hook serve. Watch closely, everyone. Look at this ball. If I use a whole arm motion, I get a short serve. If I separate the motion, look at this spin. Together. Separated motion. Together. Together. Separated. The difference is huge. The difference between together and separated motion is really big. Together. Separated. Watch the wrist. Quite a big difference. See this? This kind of hook serve, compared to this one, spins so much more. You must separate them. For example, if your serve isn't spinny now, try binding your arm. Really keep it close to your body and don't move it. Now use only your wrist power. Try and see if you can produce spin. Keep your upper arm and forearm close to your body. Use only your fingers and wrist. Then let your partner receive it. Have your partner try it out. But you must avoid moving together. It looks like the same motion. But actually, my arm isn't doing the work. It's only helping to start the motion. To store energy, the real power comes from this part. The key spin comes from here. Those who can't generate power, their upper arm and forearm aren't separated. That's why the spin is weak. Even your loops may not spin well if your forearm and wrist don't separate. When we attack, we first focus on impact. The upper arm and forearm move together, look. But if you can open up, I'll exaggerate a bit. It becomes much more powerful. If you don't open up, your forearm stays tight. Even if I move fast, it won't have as much force as this. When your forearm and wrist act together, you lose that explosive wrist contact with the ball. Why does using both together generate less spin than letting the wrist lead? Because the forearm leads. The upper arm follows, giving speed. When the wrist leads forward, the motion is smaller, but together with the upper arm, it becomes faster. If you want to accelerate, this is already the limit. The wrist is different. Look at the wrist movement. So only when the upper arm, forearm, and wrist move independently, each can play its role. The upper arm leads the backswing and stores power. The forearm accelerates the impact. The fingers and wrist speed up the brushing. Each has its own purpose. That's how the ball you send out can have more spin and speed. You can't rely only on the upper arm and forearm for spin. That's impossible. So the upper arm stores energy and adds acceleration. The forearm is responsible for impact and speed. Watch as my forearm strikes. No brushing, but still fast. Fingers and wrist for brushing, but not fast. So when I combine the forearm with the fingers and wrist, look here. There's both spin and speed at the same time. I think this is very important. Each part's role must be clearly defined.